Hey guys, back for round 15. Pretty crucial round here, and we're here with Dan from Footy Brains once again. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, Will. Ready to talk about some players and yeah, hopefully help set some trades this week because I need to make plenty to get 13 in my squad.
Yeah, and I think the first player who's probably close to the captain of the round two, God, he's made a lot of money if you jumped on him when he scored that first 81. But Keon Matangi, three 80s in a row, break even of 29. If you weren't one of the 22% of people that don't own him, would you be interested in buying Keon still?
Oh, I mean, you kind of have to at this rate. It's kind of like Haas in the first couple of rounds, right? Like if you don't have him, he's very damaging and you'll just lose rank for every week you don't have him in your team because while he's in the front row playing 80 minutes, you kind of have to have him. He's similar to, like I said, Haas, like your Terrell May, those kind of players that are playing big minutes in the forward pack, Couchman. Yeah, you have to get him in if you don't at the moment, especially if you want to be contending for, top 1,000 places.
And he can play on an edge, which I think really helps a lot of those teams. Just chuck him in as that set and forget edge keeper.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be a keeper as long as he stays in that middle rotation. Well, not even rotation. He's on the field for 80 minutes, but as long as he stays in the middle of the park, yeah, he's absolutely going to be a keeper.
And are you leaning towards him as a captain option this week?
Yeah, I think there's really only two like safe captains this week, and that's him and Couchman. But I'm leaning more Kalyn Ponga because Couchman on an edge just doesn't get the run meters. It doesn't seem. But yeah, we'll see what happens with team list come tomorrow night.
Yeah, but still a cracking buy there. And then yeah, Toby Catchman, 61 break even now. Went with what do you get, a 54 on the weekend and a 69 while playing at the second row, back to back games there. He's probably still definitely a buy, but do you think he'll move back to the middle when Jaden Sewer's back?
Yeah, I'd assume so. Once they get a few members back in that edge, yeah, he should move back to the forward rotation, and I'm sure that probably means some decreased minutes for like your Clemmers and the like. But yeah, Couchman seems like he's going to be a focal point of this St. George middle. So yeah,
And with
should be
him
okay.
having one buy left, I think it's pretty and playing around 15 and 18, I think it's probably very, very must buy this week if you don't already own him.
Yeah, have to get now. I think. What's his break evens? What 61?
Yeah,
Yeah, like he might not hit that, but I just think at the price, like he's going to be one of the top scorers this round. So yeah, get him in.
yeah, 100%. Scott Drinkwater, something that I've had the whole season, and yeah, look, he's been 62 and 56 the last 2 weeks. Kind of got a bit destroyed with those four errors and five missed tackles there, but he's playing some incredible football. And for me, at 646K is a big discount for Scott. Back down to that 57 break even and does play 15 and 18 with the buy in round 27. Do you believe that Scott is close to the best wing fullback by this week?
Very close to the best wing fullback by, but yeah, I think any Cowboys player that looks like a season long keeper, yeah, he's your man basically. Playing around 15 and 18, like you've already said, absolutely doing everything in this Cowboys attack. Yeah, I think he's a pretty easy set and forget this week, and then you're going to be holding him till the end of the season.
This week I'm kind of a bit more keen on him too because no Deed in there, which I think means maybe probably more in play kicking. He still does probably kick around 150 every week, but I think it just means he's gonna have to even do even more ball running and ball playing there. And I think he could go nuclear this week against not really decimated Dolphins because they don't really have many Origin players, just missing Hammer.
Yeah, and like the Dolphins are prone to leaking points, so the Cowboys could, score a few tries and get plenty of goals and kick meters for Drinkwater. But yeah, you never really know what Dolphins team you're going to come against. So yeah, I still think Drinkwater either way, regardless of who he's playing, I think he's going to be a buy and pretty much a hold for the rest of the season.
Especially with that huge those goal kicks too.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that really
exactly.
helps him out there. And he's quite a very good defensive uh what's his face? Defensive fullback too. A lot of like turnover tackles there. Not really many misses other than last week.
Yeah.
Jacob Crow's been called into the Origin squad, only owned by 5.68%, and this guy's an absolute gun. He just offloads for fun. Seven offloads on the weekend. Do you think that if he doesn't play Origin, which is probably unlikely, he's a must buy this week?
Oh, Kiraz, he's a really difficult one. I wouldn't say he's a must buy, but he's definitely one to consider. The problem is the Dogs don't play till Sunday at 4 o'clock, so you kind of have to wait most of the weekend's games until you get a confirmation that Kiraz isn't playing Origin because he's probably going to be kept on hold until they make a decision on To'o, whether his hamstring's good to go. I think to be safe, and given the price Kiraz is at, I think I'd let him go through this round. I don't think I'd be buying him. But I can understand if you kind of need to make up some ranks, and if you know Kiraz, or if you're confident Kiraz is going to play, you can buy him. But I just think it's a huge risk considering it's a hamstring injury. Normally, you hear of like any sort of hamstring injury, you're out for at least 1 to 2 weeks, even on the minor side. So I'm very much off Kiraz at this point. But yeah, I mean, to each their own, really.
Yeah, I think it is a bit risky, but I think if you get him and he doesn't play this week, then next week he has a bye. You've kind of brought him to not play 2 weeks there, and then you can probably just buy him in round 19 or round 17.
Yeah, I mean, 729K for a center winger fullback. Yes, he's worth it. Like he has some big scores. Like he's already had 100 this season. But like that is a big price to pay for when you can get someone like a Garrick instead this week that you know is going to play, and fill up both those positions for nearly half the price.
Yeah, but obviously he's going to be a season-long keep.
Oh yeah, once you get him in, you keep it in for the rest of the year.
And God, it's been played one round for my team and then gone injured. Do you reckon there's another late scratching for Tom Trbojevic this week?
I mean, potentially. Like you think about it, they've got a bye next week. Why not just give him a rest and then bring him back after the bye? That's
Well,
two
he's
extra
fine.
weeks of recovery he can get. But like they've named him for a reason. I think he's probably going to get a decent run out. He's got a high-ish break even considering his scores for the last couple of weeks. You don't necessarily have to buy into Turbo this round, but if you need an extra winger fullback number, I think Turbo's a pretty safe buy at 400K. Like how often can you say you can bring in a guy that can score like 50s, 60s on his day for, 400K? Like it only happens every now and then. Although this season we've been pretty lucky that it's happened a few times, but like it doesn't happen as often as you'd like. So I think yeah, Turbo, he's a great option at winger fullback this week.
Yeah, I think the thing is like when he runs those big meters of 225, like 40 is probably his floor. Like you've seen that 56 there where he's got those try assists and those
Yep.
tackle busts in the end. He did look much better in that Eagles game too. Looked a bit
Yep.
taking the line on it. I think this another 2 weeks is just going to do him a world of good.
Yeah, he's probably going to take a few weeks to get up to his best. Like I'd imagine this game, he's probably not going to be doing a whole lot. He'll be there as like a support player, but not like taking on the line as much. But come post the bye round, as long as he doesn't get injured this week, yeah, he'll start to get back to his best.
Yeah, I think another big thing is the Titans team that they're missing their two big boys, and
Yeah.
you got Daly CherryEvans on the Eagles, well, not the Eagles, the Eagles team this week, which I think he'll be quite eager to prove some haters wrong. And you see Turbo and Daly do go together quite well.
Yeah, I mean, Manly are unscathed through Origin now. Like I don't think there's no player from their team that's out, right,
I
for
don't think
Origin.
so.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy considering, DCE, Gerbo, they've always been around the team, even Turbo when he's fit. Like, yeah, it doesn't happen often where you get a fully fit, questionably fully fit Manly team.
So where do you sit with Loco, Pacific, Tonga? A five break even there, 300K. Do you reckon his minutes have been a little bit increased with the what's his face with the Jaden Sewer injury and then Couchman moving
Yep.
to the edge? And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's going to
yeah,
be a huge, like, if you've picked him up, you've made a bit of cash off him, which is good, but you can't really buy into him now knowing that what's Sewer's return date?
I
It's going to
think
be
he's
only.
next week, or he might be because their Dragons have a bye next week, so I think he's the week after.
Yeah, like it's really risky to buy into Pacific Tonga now because, like, yes, he's been pretty good in getting minutes off the bench, but as soon as Sewer's back, you could absolutely see Couchman move back to the forward rotation, and they keep playing, Leilua, +1 on an edge there. So, um, I am a bit off Pacific Tonga at the moment just because they can change it, yeah, at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, and I think there's just so much stuff that Cows is so like unreliable with this Dragons team. Like they've kind of chopped and changed all week. Like you see, 1 week Egan would start, and then the next week Egan's on the bench playing 55 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you don't know, like 1 week Clemmer plays low minutes, and then this guy plays big minutes. So I think it's just a little bit too not enough known here. And then Dallas Duncan has been pumping out some fairly big scores while playing on the second row. Do you think now Tallis has gotten that 80-minute role with Keon moving to the prop rotation at 456k playing 15 and 18? Do you think he is quite an interesting buy this week?
Yeah, he's definitely interesting. Do I think he's necessary? Not 100%. He's probably like your discount or your budget kind of Kalyn Ponga option. Like this kind of score was a bit of an outlier, this 58. Like if you look at the last couple of weeks, he's been getting big minutes on an edge and he hasn't exactly been converting them.
That
Um,
36 did come with a sin bin.
yeah, obviously, but like you look at the other one, 41, 24, and 56, right? So you look at the other scores and he isn't exactly the most consistent player, but at 450k, you're kind of getting what you pay for anyway. Um, if you're happy to get, a 50 here and there, but then also have to deal with getting a 20 or a 30 some weeks, by all means, he's not a bad buy. But yeah, you're gonna have to take the bad with the good.
Yeah, and I do think that he will play quite big minutes the next couple of weeks, which is probably the only thing in his favour. But I think
Yeah,
there's better meals.
he's probably locked in on that position, right? It seems like
Yeah,
they've kind of found out a bit of a formula. He's definitely going to be playing 80. Yeah, for 450k, like you'd absolutely take that. I mean, if without that sin bin, he probably gets, a 48, 50-ish anyway. So, I mean, if you're happy getting a 50 every second week, but having to deal with, those lower scores, that's fine.
I think the
Absolutely.
thing is for a lot of these teams is don't really force these trades. Like for me, I kind of I have 13 this week, so like if I was to bring in Talis Duncan, it would have to be next week because like it's really not worth forcing trades when you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. And anything can happen this weekend that'll then force your hand next week. So you
Yeah.
don't have to make a trade just because it looks good. Um, Only really force those trades when you have to, really. So yeah, it's definitely one you could probably wait a week on. I still think he's probably going to score okay, but yeah, it's nothing that you have to buy into.
Yeah, so Jacob back, Preston back from the suspension. I believe that you give Jacob a week with that 62 break even, and then next week if or round 17 if you need an edge, that's really when you bring Jacob in. Do you agree? Considering they got a bye next week.
Yeah, probably give him a week. I still think he's probably going to hit that break even. He's been absolutely
Yeah,
amazing when he's played. And it's not like he hasn't, like, he's obviously not been playing because he's suspended, but it's not like he's injured or anything like that. He's still been training with the squad. He's still keeping fit. He just hasn't been able to play. So I don't think we're going to see a step back from Jacob at all. But yeah, I am hoping he doesn't hit that break even to make him a bit cheaper to buy in the next couple of weeks after his buy because yeah, 780k is a bit steep.
yeah, he's very very expensive, but I think it'll be a good buy. And then geez, he's 573k now, Jazz.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's quite kind of quietly crept up there, eh?
Imagine if you brought him at 294k.
Yeah, that I don't think anyone was brave enough to bring him in that quickly. Most people brought him in around just before Origin, around that 10, 11 round mark. So you're still getting a pretty big discount if you bought him around then.
What is he on the bench this week or is he starting this week?
He's on the bench, but Manly have made a bit of a habit of changing their squad in that hour before kickoff. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what they run out with on Friday night.
Yeah, but he's definitely a hold. Like he is around 13 or around 15 player and one that you've got to hold at least for this week. And then if he doesn't get the minutes, sell him next week.
Pretty much, yeah. He's got a break even of 27. Even off the bench, I think that's still achievable. His previous performances, as you can see there off the bench, are a bit low, but that's when he's played hooker. I think he'll probably go back into the prop rotation, most likely, considering I think they have Simpkin. Who have they got on the
I think
bench?
yeah, Simpkins 14. I think Tevanga's
Yeah.
15.
Because they've got Simpkin and they've got Croker in there, I'd imagine he's probably destined for that forward rotation. So should be able to get the enough minutes to get the tackles and the meters to make that 27 up. So yeah, pretty happy to hold him for now. But yeah, it's looking most likely if he comes off the bench that he's a sell next week.
Yeah, next week. And then if you have an extra hooker and you have free medals, you don't really need Tavanga. You could use him on the sell this week.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And then Joe Tarpany has not really lit the world on fire since that round, what's it called? Round 10 streak he went on with 60 plus there. But 735k now for 77 break even. Where do you sit with Tarpany? Is he one that you can now finally move on with this buy this week, or do you think that he is a hold and then play him in round 18 in your edge position? Or sorry, middle.
Yeah, I guess that's the question, right? Like, do you need to hold him to play him as a mid for round 18? If you have other options, like you've got Couchman, you've got Kalyn Ponga, fingers crossed he doesn't get selected game three. But if you've got some other mids that you can slot in for round 18, then by all means, Tarpany looks like he's losing minutes and he's still got a bit of cash in him that you can sell him to someone like a Couchman, or even if you have a bit of cash in the bank up to a Kalyn Ponga or someone like that. By all means, Tarpany can be sold. I think at this point, it's just as long as you have the mid coverage for that round 18 buy.
Yeah, and I think as you said, if you can go to a Couchman or a what's his face, Keon, that's quite a good upgrade there. But other than that, I wouldn't really be looking to sell him this week. I still do think he will be an elite prop in the game, and I think like it's what Tarpany's always done. He's gone low, low, low. Then he's going to pump out an 80 next week in 50 minutes.
Yeah, his minutes will fluctuate as well. Like you look at
Yeah,
how many minutes he's got, it's kind of dependent on what happens in the game, whether Ricky brings him back on early or gives him a bit of a rest. Normally, when they're up by, 2, 3 tries, he doesn't really bother and he's happy to hold him off a bit and bring him on with the last 10 minutes. But yeah, I think he's still going to be a great prop in the game. It's just sometimes those tactical decisions do affect fantasy scores for us coaches. So we have to kind of make that decision whether we're happy with that or want to move to someone a bit safer.
yeah, and then he's done a great job for a lot of these coaches. At 497K, I think he's just a clear seller, and he back around 26. Not much to be said.
Pretty much sell him off. Made a good amount of cash, Tamale. He's going to be dearly missed for the Raiders as well because they're going to have to find someone that can, run out 100 meters a game from the back because I don't think Savage is going to be able to handle that kind of workload. So, yeah, unlucky.
Yeah, it's very unlucky for the owners there too. And then Payne Haas has been sold by a fair few, and depending on who you listen to, I know there's a creator that is really in the you sell Payne Haas, and I completely disagree with him. I think if you've held Haas this long, you keep holding Haas again. You don't sell guns, and who cares if he's going to lose 50, 60K over the next couple of weeks? He's going to make it back. That's just how it goes. The fact that he's able to pump out 63 last week, and I just think, yeah, Payne Haas is a clear sell. No, sorry, clear hold.
Clear hold, yeah, yeah. You said it right there. Like it's not worth selling at this point unless you sold him pre-round 13. You're not going to sell him now. So yeah, you're just holding on for dear life until he comes back, hopefully stronger, and yeah, pushing for the Broncos to get into the top four. I'd assume at this point, as long as Walsh stays fit and the rest there, middles stay fit, I think the Broncos can definitely push for a good finals
The
position.
only reason I would sell him is if you could get him, if you could make two trades to get to a Couchman and a Kalyn Ponga, and if you could guarantee to me that you weren't going to buy him back at all the first season. But I think he has to be in your finishing 27.
Yeah, I
Or
think if
your
you're
finishing
competing,
17.
he's kind of got to be in your squad.
Yeah.
Like I kind of get what you mean there. Like unless you're selling him to get like a Kalyn and a Couchman in, he's not worth it. But even if you're doing that, you'd need the trades to back up getting him back in. So I wouldn't even be making a move like that unless I had like, 15, 16 plus trades at this
Yeah.
point, which I
And
don't
like
think anyone
he
has.
played 58 minutes after backing up from Origin, which Payne Haas can score 60 in 58 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He doesn't need long to do damage. So yeah, I think he's worth the hold.
And then Jamal Fogerty kind of took the back seat last week against the Rabbitohs and let Ethan Strange do what Ethan did best.
Yep.
Looks like he's lost the goal kicking, or maybe not lost it, but didn't have the goal kicking because he was injured. Where do you sit with Fogerty? Doesn't play around 15. Do you think he could be a straight swap to one of the men we'll talk about on our in our next slide, or one of the
Yeah, I mean he's definitely worth considering selling. Like we said, I think it was last week. We don't really see him as like the top five halves in the game, right? There's a lot of other players that are probably going to be better scorers than he is. Um, I I completely understand if you want to hold him. He only didn't kick because he had the groin injury, right? He's probably going to get over that by next week and he'll get back to goal kicking as normal. But I can understand why, if you need the extra number, you'd sell him this week. So I kind of don't hate it. Can kind of go either way. I think that's very team dependent whether you sell Fogarty or not. But yeah, he'll be very handy for that round 18 buy as well. So yeah, pretty much team dependent here. I don't think we can say a definitive yes, you have to sell him, or no, you shouldn't sell him at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, he's not really going to leak cash either at the 65 break even. And really, probably the only two halves, if I was to trade him this week, that I would go to is Katoa or Daly CherryEvans.
Or I wouldn't even go to DCE. I think I'd stick with Fogerty if that was the trade that I was considering. But Katoa, yeah, I think I would trade Fogerty up to Katoa for sure.
Yeah, and then Iongi went low on the weekend. He is a very good player. Like he looked good in the weekend. But where do you currently sit with Iongi? 495k probably has made enough cash and probably maybe maxed out at where he will sit probably up and down a couple 50k there. But do you think he's a sell or would you be looking to hold him?
I think if you need the winger fullback position, or if you need any trade option this week, Yongi's probably the first person you sell. Like if you've only got 10 players and you have to sell someone this week, Yongi's going to be the first player you look at. Like I understand he's definitely got like cash to make, and he's shown that he can get big scores, like against Manly when he scored that 60. Even the week after when he got 40 odd against the Panthers, like still looks pretty good. It's just that he has these games where he just doesn't get as involved, and he gets you like a 20, and then that completely just negates all his cash making potential. So, I think Yongi can make more cash. It's just like you kind of got to go through the down times. But yeah, I would probably sell him at this point. Like 500k is probably enough to have made off him that you can move up to someone else. So yeah, I completely understand selling Yongi and probably am going to be in that pool of people this week as well.
Yeah, and also with the 15 and 18 buy to no,
Yeah,
doesn't
that
really
hurts.
pose as much good option there. And I mean, you've got other wing fullbacks like 150 more K, you get to drink water. You
Yep.
bank 90k gone to Turbo, and they both play 15 and 18 there.
Yeah, the Yongi to Turbo trade is probably the best trade you can make, I think, this week in that
Yeah.
position.
Cleary, he's been sold by a fair few coaches, and I seriously just don't get it. As I've been saying, first of all, I don't get why fantasy hates this guy. So last week he missed against the Eagles. They forgot his 40-20. That was a clear 40-20. This week they missed his try saver. That was also a clear try saver. I don't get what's going on there, but yeah, back to fantasy. 900k for Nathan Cleary. He's still probably quite discounted for someone of Cleary's caliber. And yeah, I don't think there's nothing in the world you can do to justify selling Cleary. And I think even if he did his ACL, he'd probably still be in my team because I have a fair bit of a bromance with this guy.
I mean, it's the same argument as Haas, really, right? Like you either sell him before Origin or you hold him through Origin. You don't make the decision halfway through at this point. So yeah, if you've still got him in your team, you're just holding him through until the end of Origin, or
Yeah,
until the end of the season, really.
like he's still scoring quite well too. That is.
Yeah, exactly. Like he backed up the week after, so I don't see why you would and he scored quite well, I think, in the game after Origin as well. Yeah, against Parramatta,
I
73.
think
So
the
you
thing
wouldn't
for me is if
consider him.
when the Panthers started playing better is where his scoring's come up. Like since that 53 against the Dolphins, he's started to be scoring quite well.
He's had to take a lot of responsibility in this team. There was cases like a lot in the last few years where he would like be able to play off the back of other players, whereas this year he's had to take a lot of responsibility in that team and create a lot more. But with Cleary, you kind of know what you're going to get. He's always going to put in the work when his team's down. So, yeah, I mean, you're not selling him. I think it's a pretty dumb move to be selling him at this point.
Yeah, no chance. Well, and then Ponga, one we've been playing with week in and week out, and 44, 47 did show a little bit of signs to be back. Ran the ball well, kicked in play. All this scored that try too. Right place, right time. Where do you think Ponga sits as of right now as a seller hold?
Ah, Ponga, he kills me. I was really hoping he'd be back to Clubland this week because I really thought Walsh would get selected, which kind of looked like the case. Like Walsh looked really good this week, so I was quite surprised that he didn't get selected by Billy, even on one leg. But Ponga, yeah, like I'm still not seeing the glimpses of Ponga that we got in the first couple of rounds. Maybe it's just because the Knights are out of form as well, but like it's so hard to decide on Ponga because he doesn't he passes the eye test when he runs the ball, but when he just gets the ball and passes it off to someone else and just like here, take it, it's your responsibility now. It just looks so disjointed for the Knights. Like it's really hard because the kind of fantasy scores don't match the Knights' performances as at all, really. So I'm still leaning hold and just having faith, but like as a sane fantasy coach, I feel like you should sell him. It's
Well,
such a hard decision to make.
I think. there's a little bit of harshness happening since the Rabbitohs, where they've probably started to find better form. The Titans, they just lost, but he's gone 64, 22, 43, 47, and the thing that stands out for me is 254 meters, 190, 134. Like it's only going to be a matter of time until Ponga, if with those type of run meters, does something. And I think that if you put that rolling average of 4 in there, he probably like that rolling average of those 4 games, he probably averages about 45 to 50 points there, and that's where I think Ponga in that situation at 510K is definitely hold.
Yeah, he's definitely been better. I'll give you that over the last couple of weeks. Like there was a couple of runs of games there where he was just, yeah, it was really rough to watch. Not just Ponga, but the Knights in general. But it's just so difficult because his scores have not been what we expect from Ponga, right? Like when you're bringing in a guy like Ponga, you're expecting 50s, 60s plus. You're expecting him to be breaking tackles for fun. We've seen a lot more tackle busts recently, which is good, but we just need to see him get more involved, which it's just been rough, I think, for the Knights in general. But I personally, just to give people a bit of an idea, I'm personally holding, but that's more because I'm too stubborn to sell Ponga at this point, considering I brought him in post game one. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's one you almost got to hold, in my opinion. It's kind
at
of
this
a
point.
luxury trade if you do sell him, but Daly CherryEvans 640K for Daly is very very cheap there, and I do think you look at this, he's got an up and down nature there, but the thing that stands out for me is a lot of kick meters there with Daly does play 15 and 18, so I think if you're looking for 15 and 18 half, Daly is one now that has been dropped from Origin and is probably feeling how he feels after that photo. Quite tears. I don't know if it's tears of joy or tears of I don't know, but yeah, I think Daly. I think he's going to be ready to fire. I think he's going to be quite annoyed, and I do feel for this Gold Coast Titans team because when Daly Cherry Evans puts it on, he puts it on.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he's probably going to have a big game, just considering he was dropped for game two. This week, especially against the Titans, could be a pretty big one for him. Do I think he's a must buy? Not really. He's just good buy coverage, I guess. But at his price, he's just too expensive. I think I'd much rather be buying him if he's ducked under 600K, closer to the 550 mark, because he would probably be worth his scores then. He's just very, like you said, he's inconsistent. Like he has really good games where he's getting plenty of tackle try assists, getting plenty of kick meters, but then he also has games where he's really down on kick meters and doesn't really do much in attack. So yeah, it's probably one that I think I'll let go through to the keeper.
Yeah, and I do think it takes a bit of risk there, but I think for me it's one with probably close to no less risk. But Ruben Garrick, again, a lot of these players have an up and down nature. 561K for Garrick is quite cheap there, but I mean, last couple of weeks he has not really been playing well there. But you see 97 in his game. Where do you think Garrick sits in front of a is he a buy? Is he a sell? Where do you stand?
I think Garrick's a good buy. Like he's nothing crazy good, but his base is solid that like he's worth buying in the centers. Like the fact that he's dual position, he'll get you goals every game. He'll get you plenty of meters playing at center. He'll get you at least 20 odd tackles a game. It means you're going to get at least a 30 out of him most weeks, unless they have a terrible game, Manly, really. So Garrick's one that I'm probably going to bring in this week just because he's got good buy coverage for this week and for round 18. And at 560K, he's cheaper than than he started the year at, and he's got a lot of potential. He hasn't scored a try in his last 5 games, and if you look at the games before that, he had 4 in one game, but he also averaged nearly a try a game if you flatten that out across the opening rounds. So Garrick's one that I am probably going to will buy into, and if you have him, you're definitely holding him for the time being because he gets a bit of a boost when Turbo's back as well. So yeah, Garrick is one that I am absolutely buying this week, and I think a lot of people should be considering him.
Yeah, I think he's he's a proven gun there too. And I think there's not really much risk that he has there. So yeah, for me, he's a clear hold.
Yeah, definitely a buy if you don't have him. Great base.
Yeah,
560K, you probably expect around a 40 to 45 from him. And he'll give you that most weeks.
yeah, and then Chris Randall, 28 break even still with a 432K price tag. He's played 80 minutes for 45 in the second row. sorry, 75 minutes for 52, and then a 80 for 28 while being on 38 with 15 minutes to go there. Um, where do you see with Chris? I brought him last week considering he's got that hooker mid duel and it just poses such good coverage for round 15. But where do you sit with Chris, who is probably one that if he keeps that second row spot will be making money, and that defeater is nowhere to be seen this week either.
Yeah, the only problem with Chris Randall is that he's such a good utility, right? He can play pretty much every position. Therefore, he will be used in every position when there's an injury. So, um, I can understand his value if he gets 80 minutes on the park, but you need him in 80 minutes on the park in a good position. Like when he plays at hooker and gets big minutes, he is absolutely amazing. When he plays lock and he gets big minutes, he's great to have. The problem is when he's in the back row or that he gets, pushed out wide into a center position or like every time there's an injury, Randall's the one that's filling that gap. So I think because of that, I won't be buying into him, but I can understand the value in him if he does get big minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he has a 41 career average while playing at second row, which does give him a bit of money to make, and it's probably quite good cover for this week. But I do
Yeah.
think it is a bit of a reactive buy just buying it for this week.
It's a similar case to Talis Duncan, right? Like he'll do you a job for this round, but will he be there at the end of the season? Probably not.
Yeah, but I do believe that is every player. Let me just have a look. No, Damian Cook, last one.
Ah,
We've one
Cookie.
spoken about with a 69 and a 70. Then last week they did get destroyed. Keep that in mind. But he went for a 28. Had that try assist there. Six missed tackles. Where do you sit with Damien now as a buy, or is he a avoid?
Yeah, Cookie's one that you can't really take in last week's game into consideration with his score. Yes, he played 80, but he played most of that game at centre after a few injuries to their team. So I wouldn't be like reading into the box score for Cookie there at 28. I would much rather see how he plays this week, which makes it very difficult because you kind of wanted to buy him last week, so he'd be a good player to have this week. If you don't have him already, I'm probably not buying him. But if you already have him, you're kind of going to hold at this point and just see how it pans out. So, yeah, Cookie, he's one to give another week just to see if he keeps getting 80 minutes and if he can actually play 80 at hooker this time and not be shifted out to a center position.
Yeah, but I do think that I see really his floor is a 35 and he has a base of upwards of or he can go upwards of 60 and that's where he can average. But 603K is definitely a discount for Cook. But yeah, for me, I think it's probably one you wait a week and see how he goes because I think that 35s can kill you, especially at his price when you think about it, a Randall probably isn't going to get any less than 30.
Yeah,
He's
generally.
probably
And it's also a bit worrying that because he obviously moved out to center because Tupelodu, he did his hammy and they shifted um, whoever Val Holmes to the wing. He moved into center, but that worries me that they're using him as the utility player and no one else. Because if that's the case, and he becomes that utility player that has to then shift out to a center or an edge when there is an injury, that makes me even less want to buy Cook as well because you really can't have that. You can't have a player that you need to get tackles in the middle to get good scores, move out to a center or an edge because it'll just kill your team that week.
yeah, but I think that's pretty much all the players to go for. Do you have any players or last comments you want to say?
I want to touch on Hines a bit, and get your opinion on Niko Hines because he had a pretty, I was going to say a pretty bad game, but he had a shocking game against the Warriors. Like plenty of missed tackles, a couple of errors there. Threw an intercept for um, who ran the field? Chanel Harris Tavita ran the field off an intercept from him. Um, yeah, really had a bit of a shocker um, last week. Does he become a buy option if he drops enough cash? What are your
Well, I was
thoughts?
never really big on Nico this season, considering his kicking meters were down, and I think that in the last couple of years, this probably game would have been a 40 instead of a 25 if he had those kick meters there and that.
Yep.
How many points did they score? Only 10. So yeah, only the one goal. But yeah, I think that you see the thing is he hasn't been playing well. Like one try for the season, no real attacking stats there. And I do think though if he gets up to 600K after that round 18 bye, he could be one that you put as probably your 17th, 18th man for the run home. And then like because we all know what Nico can do, and if something happens to Trindle, I think at 650K, he's probably a must buy.
Yeah, absolutely. If Trindle goes down, I think you have to get him in your team at that point because he should be doing all the kicking. He'll probably Dan Atkinson will probably come in and do a little bit, but most likely Nico will be doing most of it. The Sharks as well in the last couple of weeks have looked very, very average. I think they've lost their last three games as well, if I'm not mistaken. So somehow they're still in the top eight. I think they're fifth at the moment. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go over the next couple of weeks if they keep dropping in form and if if they're struggling to keep in the eight, then maybe Niko Hines becomes a buy as they're trying to push to make sure they maintain their position in the eight and keep finals footy. So yeah, I mean Hines, he's just one to keep an eye on. If you have him like I do, I'm going to be holding on to him anyway. But if you don't have him, definitely one to keep an eye on at that price.
Yeah, 100%. And I do think that do you reckon you sell if you own him?
No, I wouldn't be selling him at this point. 650K, yeah, unless you sold him a couple of weeks ago, because he was kind of teetering at around the 700 to 700K mark, 700 to 750K mark for the last couple of weeks. But if you still got him now, I think you're probably holding on. 650K to sell Hines, you're better off holding him. That 650K equates to about, a 45 to 50 average. So yeah, worth holding on to him because he should score in the 50s over the season.
Yeah. But yeah, so thanks, mate. I will see you in the next one. Best of luck to everyone for their round 15. It's going to be a big round, a lot of ranks to be made, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I know I'm probably only going to have 12 this round, so yeah, plenty of coaches that can overtake me this week.
Yeah, but cheers, mate.
Cheers.